Welcome. I'm not here in class today, so you have the virtual teacher right here. So the substitute can pause, rewind, or whatever they need to do. He or she needs to do to so you can watch this video. So today is January. So open up your interactive notebook. So first of all, the substitute will probably check roll. Make sure you are sitting in the correct seat, or you will be marked absent. In your interactive notebook, on your table of contents, you need to copy this down. Pages 36 and 37. Today is January 29th, 2015. Today we are still learning equations. I would like you to tape the notes to page 37. So she will be passing out notes to you. And then we are going to go over our homework. So if you need to pause it right now for them to tape their notes to page 37, go ahead. Welcome back. So here are the answers to last night's homework. The answer to number 1 is 3. The answer for number 2 is -7. The answer for number 3 is 7 9/10. Why, you may say? I did the inverse of each one. Remember, I want to keep the letter or the variable by itself. I need to get rid of this number next to it. So what's the inverse of +3? -3. And cancel out, so it's 3. What's the inverse of -2? +2. So you have -7 left. What's the inverse of -2 and 1/10? +2 and 1/10. Sorry, 7 and 9/10. Number 4, the answer is $267.30. You have to add that much money to Zachary, $489.50, to reach $756.80. Number 5, what the cost of the DVD is $22.50. You have to add $22.50 to you have to add $14.95 to $7.55 to get this price for the DVD. Because remember, the CD is $7.55 less than the DVD. That's why I drew this DVD. We don't know the cost of the DVD. I take off $7.55 and you'll get $14.95. Number 6, it could be whatever you want to write it as. It could be like a store has 15 items left unsold. If they sold 6, what did they originally start with? Here they use the example is Pete is 15 years old. That is 6 years younger than his sister Victoria. So what is the age of his sister Victoria? A. Number 7, A is 20 points. B is 14 points. Remember, they had to reach 50 points. So if she already has 30 points, how many more points does she need to get to 50? 20 more. Julie already has 36 points. How many more points does she need? She needs 14 points. Number 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10 involves fractions. Number 8 is 2/5 or 4/10. Number 9 is 1/3. And number 10 could be 10/9, 10/9, or 1 1/9. You might say, but why? Again, I want to isolate the variable by itself. What is the inverse of +1/10? -1/10. 5/10 with -1/10 is 4/10 or 2/5. What's the inverse of +1/3? -1/3. 2/3 with -1/3 is 1/3. What's the inverse of -1/3? +1/3. So 7, 9, or plus 1/3. Oh, do they have the same denominator? So what's another way to say 1/3? 1/3, 2/6, or 3/9. So 7/9 plus 3/9 is 10/9, 1 1/9. Number 11, the answer is $60. That's how much she started with. If she spent all this money, $24, $13, $16, and $3, she spent $56. But then she got $4 back from the lady. So how much did she start with? $60. Number 5, 18 and 19, answer is C and number 18 is C, number 19 is $20. Why is it C? Because you buy 4 small pizzas. 4 groups of 5 is $20. Then you buy 1 large pizza for $10. So you spent $30 on pizza. But he has $45 to spend. So how much more money can he spend? How much more money does he still have left to spend? So we don't know how much money he has still left to spend, but he already spent $30. But he can spend up to $45. So that's why it is C. Another way to do it, if you had solved it, you could say he still has $15 more to spend. If you go through each question, which one will give you $15? C is the only one that will give you $15. This one, minus 45, would be negative. Cannot be make sense. Opposite of negative 30 is positive. That'd be like 75. This would be like 75. So C. And number 19. Number 19. So a store is selling something for 2 for 1. So they use this equation right here. If you use this equation and you add it all up, $4.50 to $1.99 to 39 cents, you get $6.88. So you get $13.12 change back. So what is the inverse of negative $6.88? Positive $6.88. So if you add $13.12 to $6.88, it adds up to $20. Keep your textbook out, and I would like you. Oh, by the way, when you come into class tomorrow, I will ask you how many questions you got correct. Make sure you should have checked it. So tomorrow I'm going to tell you which 4 questions, and you're going to tell me out of the 4 how many you got correct, and that will be your grade. So I will be grading it. So tonight's homework. In your textbook, turn to page 625. Circle 1 through 7. 1 through 7. On page 626, circle 8 through 11, and then circle 13. So 1 through 7, 8 through 11, and 13. Not that bad. Wow, that's like less than 15 questions. All right. Oh, yeah, you can pause it to give them time to circle. All right, let's keep going. Oh, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about algebra tiles. So on your desk, the substitute teacher needs to pass out you a blue card. I believe it's blue card. It looks like this. And you have your bucket of algebra tiles right here. And so I would like you to take out your rectangles and your square pieces. So rectangle and square pieces. Good so far? All right, so before we start our notes, let's go over what we're going to learn today. Today we're going to learn how to solve multiplication and division of equations. So let's start with our first example. Let's start with multiplication. Again, this is a balance scale. In a balance scale, if I put positive 5 here, this will lift higher. So I need to put another positive 5 here so they both balance each other out. So if you put something here, you got to put something on another side. If not, it will be unbalanced. So let's start with our equation. So for example, if you had an equation of 2x equals 8. 2x is equal to 8. Again, we're starting very easy. Very easy. So let's see. Take out 2 x's. So for you, those are green. So take out 2 green x's. So do this with me. And then take out positive 8. All right, so I would like to figure out how many pieces or how many positive 1 go to each x, each variable. But I have 2 of them. Can I group them? Let's see. If I put 1 here, 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 1 here. So each x is equal to positive 4. Each x is equal to positive 4. Could you do this with drawing? You can. You don't have to do this. Oh, actually, you will have to on your notes when we do the real example by yourself. So to draw this, you can draw 2 x's, and you have a balance of positive 8. So each x is equal to positive 4. What if you do not want to use algebra tiles? What if you don't want to draw it? Could you solve this through algorithm? So we know this means 2 times x. Some kids need to do this. They need to draw parentheses around it because 2x is the same thing as saying 2 times the variable x is equal to 8. So now we're going to finally figure out what number this x equals to, because I know you keep, for the last 2 weeks, saying, what's x? What number is x? What number is x? I don't know what's x. All right, now we're going to find x. Remember, x represents a a symbol of a number we don't know yet. So what is the inverse? So yesterday we did the inverse, the opposite. So what is the inverse of 2 times x? What's the opposite of 2 times? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. So I'm going to divide this by 2. I'm going to divide this by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, or 1x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 1x is equal to 4, or x equals 4. So what we did is the inverse. What's the opposite or inverse of multiplication? Division. All right, let's try another example. Let's do one with negative numbers. Let's move all my virtual pieces. So let's try this question. All right, so let's do 3x is equal to negative, I don't know, 12. So take out 3 x's, those are the green pieces, put it on the left side of the balance. On the other side, take out negative 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have 3 x's here, as you can tell. I need to figure out how many negatives go to each x. So I need to put them in groups of 3. Groups of 3, groups of 3. So groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3. So each x is equal to negative 4. So that's my answer. Each x is equal to negative 4. Again, what if you don't have drawings, algebra tiles? Could you solve this without your algebra tile? Of course you can. So how would you solve this without algebra tile? You would draw 3 x's on the left side. Then you would draw 12 negatives. Each x is equal to negative 4. What if you don't want to use algebra tiles or you choose drawing? Could you solve this? What is the inverse? Remember, this means 3 times x. What is the inverse of 3 times x? Negative 3. Negative 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1x. So now we know what we're going to 1x. And what is 12? Negative 12 divided into 3 groups. Negative 4. So x equals a negative 4. All right. Clear. Clear. Let me look at something. All right, now that we've done that one, now let's do division 1. Division 1. So we practiced with a 2 multiplication one. You are going to be doing some examples by yourself. So here's our division 1. We have x over 4 is equal to, I don't know, 3. So how would you show this? So here's your algebra tile. You can't really do this with algebra. You can, kind of, but not really. X over 4 equals 3 means the following. You have this x. You divide it into 4 pieces. 1. So I divide it into fourths. I divide it into 4 pieces. And then you have positive 3. Positive 3. Positive 3. Positive 3. So it's saying that if I have a fourth, each fourth will get positive 3. So each fourth will get positive 3. So say you have an x that's divided into 4 pieces, and this fourth will have 3. Because this, another way to say this, another way to write is 1/4 x is equal to 3. So if this fourth has positive 3, this fourth has positive 3, this fourth has positive 3. So x, the whole x, has how many positives? 12 positives. Could we do this without algebra tile and without drawing? You can. So in order to draw it, you could draw it this way. This is an x. I divide it into fourths. Each fourth has three positive, three positive, three positives, three positive. So together, x has 12. What if you don't want to use algebra tiles? Or what if you don't want to draw it? Because I know some of you are right there grumbling right now. Say, hey, I hate using these. Fine. And this one. This is the operation of dividing. Inverse. What is the inverse or opposite of dividing? Multiplying. So we're going to multiply this by 4. Multiplying by 4. Remember, in a balance scale, if you do something on the left side, you better do it on the right side. So 4 times divided by 4, or remember, x divided by 4 is really 1/4. Remember the reciprocal? If you multiply the whole number by its reciprocal, it'll be 1 whole. So 4 times 1/4 is 1x. 3 times 4 is 12. So x equals 12. So what is the inverse of 1/4 times 4? 3 times 4, x equals 12. All right, let's try it now with one more example, and then you do some on your own. So here's my last wonderful example. In this last example, we have, let me see what negative numbers I'm supposed to do. All right, here's a good one. In my last example, we have, let's do third. X equal third equal negative 4. Or another way to say it is 1/3 x equals negative 4. So I have an x right there. I need to divide it into thirds. So I divide this into thirds. Each third will have negative 4. Each third will have negative 4. Each third will have negative 4. So how many negatives do you have to make one whole x? Negative 12 is the answer. What if you do not like, if you don't have algebra tiles, could you draw out? Here is an x. I divide it into thirds. Each third has negative 4, negative 4, negative 4. How many negatives do I use? Negative 12. What if you do not use algebra tiles or drawing? Can you solve this? Yes, you can. So what's the inverse of divided by 3? Times 3. This cancels. Times 3. So 3 groups of negative 4 is negative 12. X equals negative 12. Or what's the inverse of 1/3 times 3? Or 3/1. Times 3, negative 12. So what I would like you to do now is I would like you to solve these 4 questions. So go to your notes. You have 4 questions to solve. Please use your algebra tile and please draw it right here. And then I would like you to use the mathematical algorithm. How can you do it without using algebra tiles and without using without drawing? And then I would like you to check your work. So you can pause it and give them, I don't know how many more minutes, 8 minutes, 6 minutes. Welcome back. So here are the answers to this. So you have 3 n's and you have 12. We need to put them in 3 groups. So each n equals 4. If you do not like algebra tiles or drawing, you could have solved it this way. What is the inverse of times? Remember, this means times. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. 12 divided 3 is 4. And to check your work, is 3 groups of 4 equal to 12? It does. Next one. Negative 4 equals 2a. So I have 2 a's, or 2 variables. I have 4 negatives. How many will go in? I have 2 groups. So each a is equal to negative 2. What if you don't want to use algebra tiles or drawing? Could you still solve it? Of course. I want to isolate this a. I want to keep this a by itself. What's the inverse? This means multiply. What is the inverse of multiply? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Negative 4 divided into 2 groups is negative 2 equals a, or a equals negative 2. To check your work, is 2 groups of negative 2 equal to negative 4? It is. Next one, number 3. By the way, you can pause it. I'm going way too fast. Here's an x. I divide it into fourths. Each fourth has positive 3, positive 3, positive 3, positive 3. So the answer is x equals 12, because this whole bar of x has 12 positive. What if you do not want to do this one? What is the inverse of divide by 4? Times 4. Cancels. Times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And to check your work, 12 divided by 4 is 3. And the last one, here's an x bar. You divide it into thirds. There are 2 negatives in each one. How many negatives do we use for this problem? 6 of them. So x equals negative 6. So we have, what if you want to use algebra tiles or do through drawing? What is the inverse of divide by 3? Times 3, cancel, times 3. 3 groups of negative 2 is negative 6. So let's look at our notes now. So let's go through our questions here. So in here, I would like you to spend time answering this 1 through 6. All right, welcome back. Here are the answers. You may draw them or you may do it using algorithm. This is 3 times k. What is the inverse of times? Divide by 3, divide by 3. So k equals 5. This is 4 times h. What is the inverse of times 4? Divide by 4, divide by 4. So h equals, you have 32 negatives. You divide it into 4 groups. That means each group will have 8 negatives. What is the inverse of divide by 5? Times 5, times 5, cancel. P, so what's 9 times 5? 45. Number 4, what is the inverse of divide by 7? Times 7, times 7, so y equals 70. By the way, tomorrow you will have a quiz over this, 10 questions. This and adding subtracting equation. Number 5, what's the inverse of divide by 12? Times 12, times 12, cancel. You have 12 groups of negative 10 is negative 120, b is equal to negative 120. And last but not least, something divided by 5 equals 12. I don't know. I could guess, but why should I? I know how to do this now. What's the inverse of divide by 5, or 1/5, times 5, times 5, cancel. 12 times 5 is 60 equals r, or r equals 60. Let's see how much time we have. 22 minutes. All right, I think we now have time to go back to go over our do now. So if you have time, please answer this right now. All right. Zyra spent 55 minutes in 2 weeks working on a science project. She worked 32 hours the first week. Write and solve an addition equation to find the amount of time she spent working the second week. So she spent 55 hours in 2 weeks. She worked 32 hours the first week. Wait, didn't tell us how many hours she's worked in the second week. Oh, is that our variable or symbol? S for second week. We know she worked 55 in all. So 32 the first week, something on the second week equals 55. What is the inverse? I want to keep this variable by itself. What's the inverse of positive 32? Negative 32. Negative 32. So 55 positive with 32 negatives would be 23 is the answer. So she spent 23 hours on the second week. If you're running out of time, you can do your homework now, but we do have questions here. We have 3 questions. So I don't know how much time we have to answer each question. We'll see. A grocery store is selling 6 cans of cat food for $3. Write and solve a multiplication. One second, I need to go look at something. Yeah, and we're good. So a grocery store is selling 6 cans of cat food for $3. Write and solve a multiplication equation to find the cost of a can of cat food. They forgot to tell us how much the cat food costs. So let's C equal the cat food can cost. So here is our rectangular model. So a grocery store is selling 6 cans of cat food for $3. So we know it costs $3 for all that cat food. So you buy 6 cans of it. Can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can. So it's 6 cans, we don't know how much it costs, equals $3. How much will each can cost? What is the inverse of times 6? Divide by 6. Divide by 6. What is $3 divided by 6? If you do $3 divided by 6, it is 50 cents a can. So the answer for the first question is 50 cents a can. The width of a swimming pool is 1/3 of its length. The width of the pool is 15 feet. What is the length? They didn't tell us what length is. Let L be length. So we know the width of a swimming pool is 1/3 its length. So here's the length. So we cut it into thirds, and each one will be 15. Actually, you could solve this without even using an equation. Think about it. So here's the length of the pool. Every third is 15 feet. Every third is 15 feet. Every third is 15 feet. So 1/3 of the length is 15 feet. So what is the inverse of divide by 3 times 3 times 3? So the length is 45 feet. You could look at it through the rectangular model picture. And the last question is, a bag of super dog food at $12.85 is 1/3 the price of the powder dog food. Oh, tongue twister. Write and solve a division problem to find the price of it. So they didn't tell us how much the power dog food costs. P is the power dog price. So I don't know how much the power dog. So here's the power dog food. I don't know how much it costs. The super dog food is 1/3. So this is a third. Divide third. We know each third is $12.85. $12.85. $12.85. So 1/3 of the power is $12.85. So you can solve it through the picture. I already think I know the answer already. But let's do it with a division. What is the opposite of 1/3 or divide by 3? Times 3 times 3. So what's 12.85 times 3? It is 15 carry 1, 25 carry 2, that's 6 and 8, $38.55. So what we talked about this, if you're still watching this, is multiplying dividing equation. So we're multiplying, you need to do the inverse. The inverse of multiplying is dividing. The inverse of dividing is multiplying. You need to keep the variable by itself and figure out what number it is equal to. And so, do your homework now.